I don't know if anyone feels the same, but Marvel have been absolutely killing it lately. I'm just really hooked on all the stuff Marvel's been doing right now. And now that we're familiar with the likes of Loki and Shang-Chi, I felt like revisiting their trailers and continuing on this little side series of how Marvel trailers lied to you. This time we'll be covering 4 new movies, 2 new and 2 old-ish, to see where their trailers deceived us from learning the truth of their movies. On top of that, I'm introducing a new thing. If this video does well, we'll release more bonus content of this in a few days. Apparently the algorithm gives a boost for doubling down. And more to that, what we'll do specifically is a stream on this YouTube channel predicting Marvel trailer lies. Whether it's Spider-Man, Eternals, or even Hawkeye, using our prior knowledge of tricks, we'll see if we can be indeceivable. It's also a risk just to be streaming on the YouTube channel, so we'll see how it goes. But for now, let's get right into it. Starting off small, we've got the smallish lies. In random order. Basically, a slight tweak made by the trailer editor with what they've been given. For example, in the Shang-Chi trailer, this fantastic shot of jumping alongside a food dog is actually inverted. Similarly, one trailer adds a bunch of stock sound effects during the early bus fight. That's unneeded. Inverted shots are pretty common, also occurring with this boatly establishing shot in Avengers Age of Ultron. Speaking of that movie, here's an obvious stitching job of Wanda hitting someone from 2 different scenes. Another pretty obvious one is this Loki betrayal. The trailer just cuts ahead on the scene because it's more interesting, rather than giving us the real reason everyone's offended. Another movie we're covering today is Ant-Man. Here he is getting punched in the face. But the trailer omits the part where he falls all the way onto the floor. Back to Shang-Chi, and Wenwu's battles of the past are actually stitched together here. Also, I'm pretty sure we don't see lightning in this cinematic shot of the wood post, right? Finishing up this segment, Loki has some fake sound effects when he drives himself outside the Rock's Cart building.
Stubborn. The hell was that?
When Louise is exposed to the Ant-Man suit, the trailer cuts out everyone else's reaction from the scene, and there's an implication that Ultron's throne is in this building. It's not. This isn't exactly damning examples, but we're ramping up as we go, so now it's time for the alternative takes. This will be quick. In Avengers Age of Ultron, Claude does nervously defend himself with a gun, but we don't see it at this angle. The lines in the Shang-Chi trailer are all over the place, honestly. This one,
to the most dangerous people in the world, couldn't kill you,
is an alternate version, as is,
it's time for you to take your place by my side.
But we'll see plenty more quotes from here later on. Final alt take is this Quicksilver shot in a train with Cap. It's slightly altered from the real thing. Cap is displaced and there's more slow-mo in the trailer. Okay, so up to this point, it's been minor details, but another common trait you'll find with all trailers is extra footage. There's loads of unused footage not shown in the final cut, and here's some of what I found. Hawkeye looking around as Sokovia evacuates shows an extended take from the real thing. Shang-Chi doing push-ups in the morning shows multiple styles that we don't see. There's also this shot of his feet landing in front of the big red gate. That's believable, but doesn't get used. In Ant-Man, we don't see this hallway empty, only with people. All these slow-mo shots of the Avengers mid-battle are not used, or at least not slow-moed. Ultron's hand dripping with lava I don't believe is real, but there is lava in the background of this scene, so perhaps it's just unused. Shang-Chi and Katie presumably do socialize more, but we don't see a physical clinking of bottles or a selfie being done in the fighting arena. Also, this bird's eye view of the cage never happens. The applause under the single painting in Ant-Man happens when Darren Cross enters the room, but in the final cut, he just appears without entrance, so no applause. This slow-mo profile shot of Shang-Chi's training is a deleted scene, and hey, remember we're doing Loki as well? On the preview of the Pompeii scene, Loki's swinging around this extra, and she is in the scene, but we don't see this interaction. Black Widow standing dramatically in an empty room isn't quite what we see literally, but it is metaphorically accurate. And finally, this particular shot zooming onto the laboratory in Ant-Man is an establishing shot that I don't think I recognize. Alright, so that's kinda interesting to technically see more content from movies we already know, but now let's see some more notably visible and incorrect stuff. Next up is the unfinished footage. Sometimes because it's early days, other times to fool you. Starting off with a lot of mistakes is Loki. Arriving at the end of time, there's a Stark Tower in the background. Not only is this not placed directly here, but the one that is there doesn't even say Stark, but Kang, hiding from us both Kang the Conqueror and Alioth. Not to mention, a few characters are omitted from this scene too, the other variants of Loki. Obviously. Makes sense it's not in the trailer. Another spoilerless edit, at least for a few weeks, is this shot introducing the fighting cage, where Wong and Abominable are notably missing, until a couple trailers later. I was also expecting to point out that the Hulk couldn't possibly be in the central money shot point here, but no, he's there. What's missing are the twins. And you know, looking at this shot, it should really be obvious. It's so unbalanced without them, you know? And capping off this part, when Darren Cross exits his building, slight change, it's actually nighttime, not sunrise. I guess it's seen as more visually pleasing? Ah, whatever. And since you're at the halfway mark, you must be into this Marvel dissection, so why not subscribe or hit the bell? I can see that 42,000 of you received notifications, and it'll especially help for that stream of us predicting Marvel trailer lies in a few days. And I just appreciate it. Anyway, this next section is our longest section with a bit of an umbrella term topic, and that is deception. For a lot of it, it's twisted lines in the trailers, but oftentimes in Marvel trailers, there are seeds planted to just detour the entire narrative. Have a look at some of this.
It's called the Ultron program.
Tony's not introducing the idea, these guys are like deep into their conflict at this point. Although apparently the Bruce Lee shirt is real. In the Ant-Man trailer, it suggests that Hank is telling Scott to steal the Ant-Man suit as if he doesn't own it. This shot of Bruce and Natasha almost kissing is kinda bait. It happens, but the edit in the trailer reinterprets where it's going. How's about that wood post? Shang-Chi as an adult doesn't punch it. And actually, this edit seems to be suggesting throughout that Shang-Chi is much more angry and potentially evil like his father. Weird. This cut of the bus scene,
Who are you?
is misleading us to believe Katie met Sean on the bus, and it's a more aggressive take.
We make a good team.
Is zoomed in to crop the bus driver out, so it seems like she's talking to Sean. And this line,
Show me you are strong enough to carry them.
is poorly spliced onto the dinner scene. This is also quite common in these trailers, where the very end of a line will be sort of lip synced to match some footage, literally putting words in people's mouths. Here's another example with Hope.
So how do we stop him?
We'll keep an eye out for that in our prediction stream, as well as any unbalanced missing people's shots, I guess. Another brief look at Loki, there's then this explanation that suggests Loki using the Tesseract in Avengers Endgame causes the cataclysmic timeline explosion, when in reality, it's Sylvie nuking realities across time, making the series seem much more dramatic up front when it really starts up later, like trailers including the sequel bait for the original films, which is also a thing.
It's time for you to take your place by my side. That's not going to happen.
You're right, this response is missing, and not told at the scaffolding site. When Razor Fist invades the fighting grounds, his stare is stitched to Shang-Chi in the cage when he doesn't actually spot him here.
You walked in my shadow.
Fake line.
I'm nothing like you.
Fake line.
You can't outrun who you really are.
Another fake line.
You're just a criminal who murders people.
And another.
My son, you can't run from your past. You can't outrun your destiny.
Wow, even between trailers you can spot what's fake and tweaked. I really want to see if Eternals does the same thing or something now. This shot of Wenwu's men has Shang-Chi just composed in looks a little weird. There's a lot of deception in particular here. I guess it gets more common over time. Like this, suggesting the Death Dealer appeared from the helicopter and jumped down rather than trying to escape up to it. Also, throwing this stun blade doesn't cause Shang-Chi to drop, it actually causes this explosion. The drop just happens mid-fight. It's cool to see that twist when you know the real thing. Do you remember getting excited back in the day over Age of Ultron and this Wolverine tease? It's a fake out. Actually just Hawkeye, and you can tell if you pay extra close attention.
The suit has power.
Another explanation from Ant-Man, this is particularly deceptive as Hope is not in Scott's ear right now, and he's specifically working it out himself here. And the final one of this block.
My son, the 10 rings gave our family legendary power.
There's actually two versions of this herd. One doesn't include the word legendary, so I guess that's a hint. Not only is this yet another fake line from Shang-Chi, they're basically all off, but this one fully goes against the narrative. Wenwu specifically didn't use the rings while they were a family, and not having them is what didn't protect them. A small line really changes how you perceive the entire narrative. It's almost an art in itself. Could more trailers do that, please? To both stop the spoilers and give me more content to dissect? That'd be great. And now the biggest examples of all, it's the full-on fake scenes. Some of these may be deleted scenes we just have not seen yet with the newer movies, but still, they're the biggest, most intentional, and sometimes malicious misdirection examples of what I've picked up. In the Age of Ultron trailer, we see Thor drop his hammer in the central grounds of the fight, which is a completely fake shot, though he does drop his hammer in a different context with a new dropping shot. Over to Ant-Man, and you remember the scene above the Avengers building? Well, forget Falcon. According to this, Yellow Jacket is there, and then there's their interaction.
I'm Ant-Man. I know. Wasn't my idea.
Not at all what Scott says, and implies a sort of different narrative too. Over to Shang-Chi, and there's this 4-piece money shot overlooking the lake. It's fake. Last time we were finding fake money shots everywhere. I'm gonna get trust issues seeing how consistent this piece is. We mentioned it briefly before for narrative, but yeah, Death Dealer even being seen in a helicopter is a fake shot. Another snippet from Ant-Man, we see this shot of piles of money. I assume this is connected to Scott's origin, putting him in prison in the first place as part of a bank heist, but it's not in the movie. With Ultron, we have Wanda scream crying in the middle of nowhere. Technically the truth, happening the moment Pietro dies, but it's a fake location. In reality, she's by the core, but they wouldn't want to spoil that. There's somebody topless at the lake Thor jumps in? Definitely not. What? I know Marvel's done its fair share of topless marketing bait in the past, but who even is this? Final one for Ant-Man at least, and it's a major lie for explaining the movie.
So how do we stop him?
By knowing I.
This narrative suggests that Scott is already Ant-Man and is like a mutual of Hank Pym's. There's some truth in this. Hank has been watching Scott, but this is not at all how the story plays out. And funny enough, we can see the scene where this take was shot, and Scott's right at the table. Just fake lines entirely for the trailer. The real scene plays out much differently. Loki seemed to be more subtle along the way, but the final one we have here is a different version of the meteor shower in the background. Never trust a CG sky. And further to that, there's no male Loki to accompany her. Most of the trailer was hiding Sylvie anyway, but here it's a reversal of sorts. For our last Age of Ultron piece, there's this shot of Cap grabbing his helmet for battle. And final one of our entire list, yet one more from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. When speeding away in Razor Fist's car, we see Shang-Chi leaning out the back window during the fight, when in fact it's the sister who leans out on the other side. Though this is to hide the story detail that she even joins on the good side in the first place. Still, funny how they shot an entire change of circumstances for the sake of spoilers for their trailer. Or maybe there's an extended deleted fight sequence we've just yet to watch on the DVD release. Either way, this continues to be absolutely fascinating to me. And this is just what I managed to find after a couple skims through. I'm sure there are all sorts of other examples that pop up as you look even closer. In fact, here's a segment for my editor to pitch in anything else they noticed. Ooh. Wow. And look at this one. I missed that. How many more did I miss? I honestly have no idea. I didn't miss that much, did I? Come on. Okay, I'll stop now.
Glorious.
Thanks, Editor Ben. I imagine this will be something we'll come back to occasionally, since there's still so many Marvel movies to go through, and plus all the Disney Plus shows to show us even more tricks that they have. So do give us suggestions on which movies I should cover next time, and I look forward to seeing any of you live in a few days as we do a deep dive at the deceptives, potentially, of anything upcoming by Marvel. And don't worry, if you watch me on Twitch, we'll still be doing those 3 times a week as usual. For now though, my name's been Dazz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.